Hi friends, welcome to my first monthly reset and monthly video. So in this video, I am going to be going over what my goals were for May and if I reached them or not, any reflections or thoughts I have, and I will also be planning my June. I thought that this would be a fun video to do because I always think that's fun to look back on what you thought you would do in the beginning of the month and then what you actually did. Also, I thought that this would be a great way to keep myself accountable, especially with me starting a YouTube and a podcast and doing all of these different projects, which I will actually be talking about in this video because I think I took on way too many projects. But yeah, it's great for accountability and documentation, and I want to be able to look back on these videos and be like, oh yeah, these were the things I thought I was going to do and accomplish, and here's what I actually got done. So hopefully these videos inspire you to do your own plan with me's and reflect on your own monthly goals so that you can see if you're on track or if you need to readjust and what you need to readjust. So let's get started. Also, I will be looking at my laptop throughout this video because, to be honest, I cannot remember everything at the top of my head. So here are my May goals. So the first one is writing my book. And I'm going to be honest, when I wrote this goal down, I did not actually think I was going to complete it. I thought I was going to procrastinate. But by May 18th, I was almost done writing my book. And by May 25th, I was done writing my book and I had sent it off to some beta readers. So currently, actually, it's May 31st and a few of them have actually already finished reading the book. So I'm going to start implementing the changes soon so that I can then send it off to an editor, proofreader, and a formatter. I actually found someone who does all in one, so that's pretty awesome, but I still have to design my own book cover or decide to outsource it. Okay, the second thing is the podcast. And the way I'm going to do this video, I feel like because my goals are kind of ongoing or the projects are kind of ongoing, so I might start talking about some of my June goals. So with the podcast, I did 3 episodes, I think, for May. I actually think I launched my podcast in May, which is crazy to think that it's already been a month. So I did 3 podcast episodes for May, weekly podcast episodes, and I decided because I am also doing YouTube that I'm going to start doing video podcasts for my podcast. So I think I might put my podcast on pause for a little bit, which I didn't feel great about because I had done 2 previous podcasts before and I felt like I was always starting and stopping, and I didn't want to do that for this one. But because I took on so many projects the book, the podcast, YouTube, and within each there's also mini projects. So even though that's only 3 projects, it's actually more than 3 projects. So what I thought of doing was combining the podcast and YouTube together. So I'm going to be uploading my video podcast onto YouTube so that people can also watch it on YouTube, because I actually put my first 5 episodes on YouTube, but I feel because there's no video, people are less likely to watch them, and I didn't want to create more content than I had to. I was creating video content for YouTube, and then also in addition I was going to create audio content, but then I thought, what if I just created a video and audio content for my podcast so then I can also upload them onto YouTube? Finding ways to work smarter, right? Okay, so one of my other goals for May was to do YouTube shorts. So my goal was 20 YouTube shorts and I ended up doing 11, which I'm definitely not mad about. So I'm going to continue doing that and experimenting that. But what I want to do this time around is create some shorts for some longer form video so I can see if that helps me get more viewers for my longer form video content. So let's see how that turns out. Okay, so my other goal was to send emails to my email list. Remember earlier when I said I took on way too many projects? This was one of the other projects I knew was really important because I had started a landing page for my book and I was not sending updates to the people who had signed up for that landing page. So I felt really bad about it. So finally I had sent an email out, but I definitely want to get better at that in June because I am now paying for email marketing. So I want to take advantage of the email marketing platform. And then my last goal was read, and I actually make a reading list. Did I actually do that? I mean, yes, I did. I put down 2 books because I was if I do any more, I don't think I'm actually going to do it. So the first one is called Published, which I have been kind of reading throughout. I didn't read the book from finish to end, but I skipped through sections I thought were relevant. So it's all about book writing and getting your book published and, getting readers and all of that. So I will be continuing to read that. And then the other book that I put down was Big Magic. I listened to this instead because I also wanted to do like a book review. But the reason why I wanted to listen to this book was because I remember Liz Gilbert talking about like ideas and how ideas come to us, and then when we don't like answer it, whether in for multiple reasons, right? You might be busy, you might be working on something else, you might not be in the mood, etc. Then the idea will go to someone else. Okay, so overall, how did I feel about May? Actually, pretty good because I finished writing a book. I had 500 downloads for my podcast in the first 30 days, which is pretty good. I think I did want some like confirmation or affirmation that people were interested in the podcast because I remember I actually wanted to start this podcast back in like February or earlier, and I procrastinated on it because I was like, well, I don't know if anyone wants to listen to the podcast. I don't know if I have anything of value to say, and I feel like people tuning in every week has been that validation for me, knowing that like both you find it helpful, and actually a few of my friends have messaged me to tell me that they listened to some episodes, which I really, really appreciate. I feel like sometimes you put things out into the world and no one really gives you feedback or tells you anything until maybe one day people are like, oh, I've been listening to your podcast for the past 5 months. So I always really appreciate it when my friends tell me that they read my book or that they listened to an episode, because then you don't feel like you're talking to an endless void. So yeah, I just want to say that I'm really grateful for my friends who have listened to my podcast and have also offered to read my book to give me feedback, because when you're starting something new, it can feel kind of terrifying and you're like, is it even worth doing this? But I always feel like, yes, if you have desire to do something, it is worth pursuing. Even if it doesn't work out, I feel like it always kind of works out in some way or another. You either learn something, it's taught you something, it's helped you grow, and I feel like that's never a waste, right? So okay, so now that we're done with May, let's talk about what my June goals are. So in June, I plan on working on the same projects like my book and the podcast, YouTube, email list, and I do want to read for sure. But let's go over each one. Okay, so with the book, my plans for June are to improve the book with the beta reader feedback that I get an editor and a proofreader, design my book cover, format it, and also send out 50 advanced reader copies, which basically means that you send out an advanced copy to people so that when your book launches, they can review it, or they give you a review ahead of time so that you can put it in your book. So my goal is to send it out to these people so that when I launch this book, I can get reviews on my Amazon. And my goal is 50. Actually, my goal is to overcome the fear of having other people read my writing, because I am actually like very nervous about my writing. I remember in 3rd grade when I had this teacher who made us write a book report for every book that we read. And I actually read so many books growing up, but by like the half of the year, or I don't know how, maybe like a few months or a few weeks passed. I don't remember the timeline. I just remember that one day she pulled me to the side and she's like, Molly, why aren't you writing any book reports? Why aren't you reading? And I told her I am actually reading a lot, but I'm just like scared to write the book report. I'm scared to like get it wrong. I'm scared to say something dumb. Apparently I have not overcome that fear, because I still have that fear, but now I just like feel the fear and do it anyway. And then I think she said something reassuring, because I remember that after we had that conversation, I just like went home and I wrote all of the reports for all of the books I've ever read during that year, because it was for that year, right? So I don't want to like do it for every book I've ever read, but I ended up writing a book report for that year. I think she put the book reports up on the wall because one of my classmates was like, Molly is cheating, she has all of these book reports. And I was like, no, I actually read all of those books, because I think there was a contest or something, but I was so scared in the beginning of putting my work out there that my teacher thought I just didn't read, even though I was reading all the time. So yeah, those are my goals with the book. And I feel like once I get some of these things done, like getting an editor or designing my book cover, I'll have a better idea of my timeline, and then I'll be able to announce a launch date for the book. Okay, so like I said earlier in this video, I am putting my podcast on pause for a while. So my goal or my hope is to resume the podcast by June 15th, because I don't want to wait too long either. Actually, I think I put June 18th or the 20th for me to get a video camera, and then also to factor in the time of like me recording the episodes and also editing the episodes and publishing them. But my ultimate goal is to make sure I have a backlog of podcast episodes and YouTube videos so that I don't feel like I'm constantly playing on catch up. But because I'm in the beginning stages, I still need to work on building that inventory of content. And you can't really see it, but I also list out my episode ideas. I also put them in my ClickUp on the list format so that I know what my topics are going to be, and also I know what the talking points for each topic is going to be. So that's how I organize my content. And with YouTube, my goals are to create 10 videos, 30 shorts, and hopefully get to 100 subscribers by the end of June or even more, and get 20 hours of video watch time. I think I need to put out more videos to increase my watch time. So the next thing I'm going to be focusing on in June is my email list. So I'm going to keep it super simple for June to not overcomplicate my life. I'm going to be sending out emails to my main list and my book list, and I think for now I'm just going to aim for 2 each. I'm going to write in advance what the emails are and schedule them, and then if I have more time and energy and brain space, then I can always add on emails. But I think that's a better strategy to like write out 2 emails, schedule them, and do that, because what I did in the past when I didn't have so much brain space, and what I realized after was my goal was like 4 emails, but I would write like 2 or 3, and then I'd always miss the last week. So I'm like, okay, what if instead now I just write 2 emails, one for the first of the month and then one for the middle of the month. And if I have extra brain space, then I can go in and add more emails in between those. That's my goal with it. I have my main list and my book list. In total, is going to be 4 emails for the month. Okay, now moving on to my personal self-development goals. I wrote down 3 goals to not have too many goals, because I feel like when we have too many goals, our energy gets scattered and we don't really have the time or space to really focus in on our goals that we set up for ourselves, because we have so many things going on. So my 3 goals for my personal development are: number 1, read 10 to 15 minutes a day, and that also counts as listening to audiobooks, because my second goal is to walk 4,000 steps every single day, and we're moving soon, so I'm going to be having access to a gym. So what I plan on doing is walking on the treadmill, and then while I'm walking I can also listen to books. So then that tackles both 1 and 2. And my third goal is to do guided meditation or visualizations 3 times a week. And I wanted to say daily, but I feel like whenever I set this goal to daily, I actually do it for maybe the first week and then it drops off. So I'm like, okay, what if I start out with a smaller number and then work my way up and see how that turns out? Because if I build the habit and I can see it giving me, some kind of positive return, like it makes me more peaceful or happy, or gives me clarity, then I will want to do it more and more, right? Whereas if I say daily, then I kind of feel the pressure having to do that. And the reason I'm okay with writing down walking 4,000 steps a day as one of my goals is because I've done that before, so I know that it's totally possible. And also I've listened to podcasts and audiobooks on my walks before, so I know that I can definitely do that. And I actually might adjust my first goal from reading 10 to 15 minutes a day to reading or listening to a helpful podcast episode, because I don't want to limit myself to just reading. Except, I don't know, maybe I might keep reading, so I'm going to reflect on that a bit more and see what kind of goal I want to have. I think in general, I just maybe want 10 to 15 minutes a day of something positive that shifts my mindset, because I know that I have a tendency sometimes to have kind of that negative thinking. So I'm working on shifting that and reframing things in my life so I don't feel so bogged down. Okay, so those are my monthly reflections and plan with me for June. This video definitely ended up being way longer than I thought it would, but hopefully you found this relaxing. I feel like whenever I watch these videos, I kind of find it relaxing and reflective. So hopefully you find it relaxing and reflective as well. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel so that I get notified of future videos that I do, because I will be doing more videos on personal development and self-improvement, and also business and travel, because I love talking about business and marketing and all of that stuff, and I want to create more travel content for this YouTube channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye!